All right, guys. Well, I guess we'll go ahead and get going here. First thing, please put your phone on mute or your microphone on your computer on mute, please. That will help with the cross noise. Anyway, guys, I called this meeting to talk about, getting ready for the II tournament season. You guys all got an agenda. We'll kind of go through this one by one. First of all, as Tom Weiser and I were just talking about, we had a big weekend of arena polo in Scottsdale this past weekend. Had between 4 different events: the Sherman Memorial, the military, the actual Townsend Cup, and the II versus SUPA. There were, 11 games, I think? And so, it was a good weekend to showcase arena polo, and the Equidome ended up being a very nice facility to use. It's a big arena, and anyway, I'd like to thank, obviously, Robert and Ronnie for all their hard work. Dano Fortuno stepped in as the third man while I did the instant replay and what we could do the instant replay for. And the instant replay was pretty fun. We've never done it in arena polo before, but it was pretty neat to sit and be able to do that. So. But anyway, it was a good weekend, and that's that from that standpoint. All right, let's go into the, first of all, guys, I don't know if all of you knew this or not, but we did get the funding. The Umpire LLC is handling prelims, regionals, and nationals this year for 2017. And the scheduling will kind of goes in hand. 2 and 3 kind of go hand in hand. Is that I have not scheduled anybody for anything yet. That is coming within the next week. We start on the weekend of the 12th. I believe we have 2 tournaments. Is that correct, Allie? I think that's correct.
I'll have to look it up. I think it's 2 or 3. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there are 2 on that first weekend.
There's Emily. Hi, Emily. Yeah, we have 2 tournaments, and what I'll do is, Emily, I know that you've had you were waiting on a couple cancellations, but do you have a finished schedule now, or are you still having some scheduling going on, or changes or anything like that?
No, I think that I'll look at the last one I sent you. That should be fine.
Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah. Let's just look at that. I'll get that to you guys in the next day. So, in terms of the actual schedule, date by date, I think the one that's online is a little bit of a mix because of the interscholastics and the intercollegiate. It's we can put it on a spreadsheet and go weekend by weekend. We have a longer season this year. It's a little more spread out, so it goes all the way till the last weekend of April. So, that's good. Hopefully we won't run into any scheduling issues because I don't think we have a weekend that has more than 5 tournaments, so that's good. So in terms of the contracts and addendums, we'll be sending those to you as you are assigned. It's not really I shouldn't say it's a contract, it's more of an agreement. Basically, it's just with the Umpires LLC, what's expected of you, those type of things. I think everybody signed one of those last year that did regionals and nationals. And then you'll have an addendum which will go into what you're paid and what we'll cover. It is going to be the expenses are going to be just like they were last year. You'll get a $40 food per diem, which includes travel days, and then your rental car rental car and hotel and flight up to a certain amount. If it goes over that amount, you got to send me an email to approve it. And the pay for the umpires this year is going to be a little bit different. I did something last year with it that now that I go back and think about it, I don't necessarily know if that was the right thing to do, where everybody got paid the same in regionals and nationals. We're going to go back to pay based on your rating. And so, but that's an individual thing between us. That's not really something that needs to be talked about amongst all of us. So, you know, when you're chosen, you'll get an addendum, and if you got questions about pay, you can ask me at that point in time or send me an email or what have you. Any questions regarding the agreements or the addendums? Good. Scheduling, you know, going into scheduling, like I said, I'll assign it, and what I'm going to try to do, everyone, is with the prelims and maybe some of the regionals, it just depends on how it plays out. I am going to try to put, you know, the more experienced, higher rated umpires in each prelim if someone is available, of at least one, and so you all have somebody to kind of, I mean, for the other ones that, you know, maybe not have as high of a certification or a little less experience, you got somebody there that is more experienced and can help you along, because the idea is to bring everybody up to the same level. And you know, what I'm going to try to do this year, like I did last year, maybe not so much in the prelims, but like what we did in the regionals and nationals, I'm going to, you know, get people out of their comfort zones. You know, with the prelims, I don't think that is such a major thing, but I think when we get to regionals and nationals, well, nationals is a totally different situation. Really, regionals, we're going to move some people around like we did last year, and I think that was good. And so, you know, if it's not broken, don't fix it. So we'll just do that. Anybody have any questions on scheduling? I know. I know what else I wanted to say is that I know that, like I said, I know that some of you, I was like, oh, give me some outdates, do this, do that. You know, I'm going to contact every one of you when I need to assign, and I'm going to contact you in enough time. I mean, I'm very, very minimum of 2 weeks before. You know, sometimes we have to play off. You know, if Emily has a change with the schedule or something like that. You know, nationals can get a little quirky, but nationals are different this year, so maybe it won't be. But I will contact all of you in ample time to discuss, you know, where we'd like to send you going forward. So, any questions regarding scheduling? Okay. Arena Rules 2017 changes, and have any of you gotten a white book yet?
Not yet. Supposedly in the mail.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, and I should have told you all that when we got on this, that, you know, that you could have gotten online and looked it up, and because the rule book is online. There's really two things that we really need to go over, and they're under the same rule, which is Rule 14. Everything else is in the Arena Rules for 2017. Doesn't pertain to us. You know, there's one thing regarding helmets being worn by people all around the arena, but we never have a problem with that anyway. They're doing this in the outdoor now, where in, I believe it's USPA events, that all the grooms, if they're on a horse, have to wear a helmet. But you know, and then that obviously falls into the arena, but like I said, from our standpoint, we never really had a problem with that anyway. But under Rule 14, which if you did happen to be online or on your computer and you can go to it, it's on page 145 in the 2017 USPA rulebook. And there's two things in bold. Rule 14, improper play and unsportsmanlike conduct. Under A, which is delay of game, and I'm just going to read this. A player in possession of the ball marked approximately 2 horse lengths or less by an opposing player must keep moving. Should the player in possession of the ball either stop or reduce his speed to a walk or walking speed, the player and or any member of the player's team will have 5 seconds to either hit away or run with the ball. An infraction of this rule will result in a penalty against the team in possession of the ball. If the infraction occurs between the center line and goal being defended by the team in possession of the ball, a penalty number 4 should be awarded to the other team. Guys, the delay of game is pretty much the same as it was last year, except that it's a penalty now instead of a throw-in. And as you guys saw in the last paragraph, or the last sentence, if the infraction occurs between the center line and goal being defended by the team in possession of the ball, penalty number 4 should be awarded to the other team. That's the short side of the field, and so it won't be any more than a penalty 4. We decided that anything more than that would be too severe. So the other thing is with delay a game is this, guys. It says in here you'll have 5 seconds to either hit away or run with the ball. What we are going to do as umpires is if we see this happening when the player slows down with the ball, your clock starts. You go 1,001, 1,002, and when you get to 1,003, you can say use it. And at that point in time, they either take off with the ball or they hit away. Okay, this is something we've done in the outdoor in the last year or two. So that is, but we're going to take that and bring that into the arena. So you can say use it. All right. You know, it just kind of keeps things going, and you know, we've discussed that back and forth about whether or not that's coaching and so on and so forth, but we just felt that it helps things along. You know, I don't know how much delay a game we'll actually see. I think I blew delay a game one time in 10 tournaments last year. But just remember, guys, with the delay a game, you obviously have to. You have to know the game that you're umpiring. We're going to see some prelim interscholastic games that, you know, the whole game could be a delay game. But you know, it's just you obviously know your game, and you guys are all experienced umpires, so this shouldn't be too much of an issue. So, any questions on delay a game?
So Bradley, it's an option to use it, or we have to use it? They're telling them to play.
Well, it's an option, but
we didn't do it at UVA at the clinic. That's what I'm at. I just want clarity. Are we saying 3 seconds, tell them to run, or are we saying you can do it if not? So, and the reason I ask this is because I don't want to coach if I don't tell them to move. You say, well, why didn't you tell them to move? They didn't have the opportunity to play. So, I just wanted to make sure that we're all on the same page.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, Tom. It's not written. You know, it's not one of those things that's not written. It's kind of an unwritten thing that we've been doing as professional umpires. So I think, though, and I'm going to get to something else in regards to after I discuss the disciplinary side of. I think it's I think we need to do it. I think it needs to become a habit of the II umpires to do it. And part of that, I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys now, part of this is going to be, we're going to add a little bit of responsibility to the umpires as to being part of the meetings with the players and the tournament managers before each tournament starts. Because when I get to the discipline side of it with the yellow and red flags, this is going to be something that's new to these kids, to a lot of these kids, and it's part of it is going to be our responsibility as umpires to tell them beforehand, and I think part of that is also saying that this is how delay a game is going to work. 2001, 2002, use it, and that's just I am encouraging it to be done, is what I'm saying. Does that answer your question, Tom?
Yeah, no, that's fine. I just want to know what our standard is. I guess as long as we're consistent on both sides, we say it or don't say it, you have to do it the same way to both teams.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I want to make sure that we're either going to do it or not going to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, guys. Any other questions on delay of game? Okay. All right, this is the biggie. Obviously, the unsportsmanlike conduct has changed this year. I know some of you who went to the clinics in Virginia, California, and Cornell got some experience with this. For those of you that didn't, listen very carefully. First thing is all of the II umpires need to get a yellow flag because we now have a yellow flag and a red flag system. This is in uniform. This is in uniform with USPA, international rules, everything. So this is not. This is just falling into line with the outdoor rules of the USPA. Okay, it's under G, which is on page 146, I think, in your 2017 rule book. Yep. And unsportsmanlike conduct included but not limited to the following shall not be permitted. Appealing to the umpires or officials, unwelcome talking to the umpires, vulgar abusive language, disrespectful attitude toward any official, player, coach, or spectator, arguing with the umpires or other officials, inappropriate behavior by any member of a team organization, delay of game for a player mount, unnecessary tack timeout, swinging the mount in a windmill or helicopter top fashion as an appealing for a foul. Dangerous riding is described in Rule 13. Improper use of the mount is described in Rule 15. Rough or abusive play, deliberately striking another player mount, excessive violation of the whipping rule, hitting the ball after the whistle or horn is sounded, intentionally striking the ball during play in such a way that it may cause injury to a player, spectator, official, or damage property. Now I can breathe. That's a lot, guys. It's a lot more than it has been when we had the red flag system. Like, you know, we can go through these kind of one by one. You know, we have to. Basically, what we're trying to do is we're cutting down on. First of all, the discipline is we're really cutting down on. Now I know in the II we don't really have a whole lot of discipline problems, but also now that dangerous riding and improper use of the mallet have come into this. Here's the thing, guys. It's not saying that every time you call dangerous riding you have to throw a yellow flag. There are different degrees of dangerous riding. An uneven ride-off that, you know, might jostle a horse a little bit. You know, you're not going to, I don't think that's something that's going to necessitate a yellow. Now, if you got a dangerous riding and a horse goes to its knees, player almost falls off, probably a yellow. I mean, this is going to be umpire discretion, okay? Kind of improper use of the mallet. You know, if a guy swings under a neck and it swings up, but, you know, doesn't make contact, really make contact with anything, you know, improper use of the mallet. swings up, hits the guy or horse on the other side, constitutes a yellow. But the one thing, and the reason, and we've got to be pretty 150% on giving these yellows, guys, because in the II, the first yellow flag, which is below under H, the first yellow flag is a penalty, okay? And if you have a penalty on top of a penalty, you move it up. If it's just a yellow flag, you know, umpire discretion to where the ball placement may be. But the second offense the second yellow flag, if a person gets one, a player gets one, the NHTC has decided that because we went back and forth with how in the world to figure out the 2-minute penalty box in the arena, the NHTC decided that instead of doing that, they are going to sit out, the player will sit out the remainder of the period. So that could be a pretty harsh penalty when that second yellow flag comes, and you know, you could be sitting out for a long time. Or you could actually be sitting out for a short time because we don't have a preface to say that you have to sit out one period and then the next period under this system. Like from before, if you remember before, we kind of had that. We kind of had that option. You know, if there was 30 seconds left in the third chukker to go to the fourth chukker and sit them out. We don't really have an option with that with this. So, but that is what the NHTC decided to do. So as I'm saying this to you, I just want to let's make sure that we're 150%. We talk about it amongst the whole team, umpires and the third man, and make sure that it's warranted. And that's part of the reason that I am, you know, like with the B-rated umpires and above, we're going to be at all these different places because most of the B-rated umpires went to the umpire clinics and have had some experience with this. So I'm going to count on you guys and girls to, you know, be the leaders on this in terms of making sure the yellow is warranted when it is given. The other side of that, too, is the coaches, okay? Now, the coaches, if the coaches mouth off, it's a team technical because you can't really give, we were talking about this, you know, you're not going to give a kid a yellow because of something his coach said. So, so the coaches can get a team technical, and it is of my opinion, and we don't have this written anywhere, and I don't know if we have the authority, and I wanted to get some opinions from you guys, but I think if a coach gets 2 of them, he's removed from the arena, or she. What do you think?
That seems reasonable. I mean, if coaches sound like they're out of control.
For the whole game or 2 minutes?
No, for the whole game.
The chucker.
Yeah,
for the whole game.
One. I don't think you can do a whole game. I think you have to do the 2 flags as if he was. So if he gets 2 flags, then he's out for that remainder of the chukker, just like a kid would be, but then they can come back in. Now, if you get your third, which actually is the red, then he's out. Then he's gone for good. How I would interpret that.
I agree.
Concurrent the way you treat a player. Yeah. It's the remainder of a chukker. You don't want to throw a coach out before the second half. Let him come back.
Well, if everybody wants to do that, that's fine with me. I mean, I was just thinking. I hold more responsibility onto the coaches and the players, and that was kind of where I was going with being a little more harsh with the coaches versus the players.
That might be the right way to look at it too, Bradley. I kind of retract that. Let's lay it on the coaches because they're the guys that are teaching the players.
Yeah, but I agree with what you guys are saying, but I think we have nothing written to back it up at all, and so there I go with Tom. That it ought to be the same penalty because there at least you have some backing in writing to fall back on, even though it's not quite defined as a coach.
Correct. I agree, Danny. Actually, yeah, I mean, I was saying that was my thought process, but as you guys are talking about the actual written language, I think that's the way to go. So we'll just say that the coaches, it's a team technical, it's a team technical, first time, second time, the coach has to leave the arena for the remainder of the chukker. And then, of course, we haven't even gotten to the third instance, which if you get after 2 yellows, the third instance is the red flag. And the red flag is a player's third offense, and that's a suspension for the remainder of the game with no substitute allowed for the remainder of the period. Now, if somebody gets thrown out with a red flag in the third chukker, you can have for the fourth chukker, you can have an eligible substitute come in. Also with the red flag, that means that that player is also suspended for the next game as well with an eligible substitute available, if possible. So, yeah, the red flag's a big whammy this time. So I mean, if that third offense, and yeah, you're done for that game and the next game. And hopefully, like I said,
what if the coach gets the red flag?
Yeah, what about on the
coach? Well, I mean, we got it as a player, and we're talking about writing. What do you think, guys? It's in writing. Do we keep it that way?
I think you treat them all the same.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
I agree with that, A, and then B, what are the substitutions for coach? If he's thrown out, if he's got the red flag and you're not allowed a substitute player, does that mean his assistant coach can't holler from the sidelines? Or that's kind of a tough situation because some will have assistants there and some won't.
Come in, man.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, Danny. I mean, the fact of the matter is you're not going to allow a coach in the arena, but it's not like you can not allow a coach on the premises. So, if the coach, if we're at ERG and there's a coach that, was not allowed to come into the arena, I mean, the arena is the covered area. It doesn't cover the gravel outside the lot, and, he can instruct his kid in between chukkers or his or her kids in between chukkers, and as long as they don't come in the arena, I mean, that's really the only jurisdiction we really have for that. Don't you think?
Yeah.
I mean, that's about it. So
Don't worry about the substitution issue. If he happens to have an assistant there, that assistant can still coach from the sideline.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just like how we can't control parents from yelling from the sidelines and helping the coach either.
Yeah, exactly.
So, quick question. What if it's the team alternate or a parent that's the person who needs to get a yellow?
Parent is a spectator.
They're
We've heard
Yeah.
Brandon before.
of the team.
Let me tell you something, guys. When it comes to parents, it's that's a tough situation. I've never been big on penalizing parents to begin with, and I think that is a situation that I don't know. I mean, I really don't. I mean, how have we done this in the past, guys? I've never penalized a parent before. So I mean,
So I don't think you can't penalize a parent, but you can penalize an individual as a part of the team. So if it's, I would say, like, if it was, not that we have grooms, but if a groom did something, you could penalize the team for a groom's action. But I don't think, I mean, a parent is, I mean, you could have just a random spectator screaming too. You can't penalize, you're not going to penalize that person. You could probably ask that person to leave the arena, and we can allow the tournament manager to address that if they're being really obnoxious.
We did that one time. There was someone that was screaming at the umpires, and we basically escorted them out and said, you're not allowed to return. So it's also hard. How do you identify if that person is with a specific team, unless you know who they belong to?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we changed the verbiage way back when on the red flags because of Armando Gonzalez causing troubles with the umpires down in Florida one year, and he wasn't a groom, but he was associated with the team, and so we changed that verbiage for that, didn't we? I mean, am I right on that rule change? I mean, on the verbiage? So then wouldn't a
I would
parent...
have to go back. I would have to go back and look, Robin, but I'm telling you, we'd have to go, I'll go back and look through, but I just, I think we can get a lot more people involved than just us in terms of getting a parent removed. Now, if it's an alternate, if it's one of the kids and it's an alternate and he screams and yells, give him a yellow. I mean, he's part of the team and he's on the roster. He can get a yellow flag. Absolutely.
On that line, if a player gets a red and the team only has 3 players, can we legally start the next game?
2 on 3.
I mean,
Can't
there's no
start a game.
handicap.
They'd have to forfeit. They'd forfeit if their team player got done.
Yep, that's correct.
If you don't have an alternate, you have a forfeit because you can't start a game without 3 players that are on the roster in the II.
One more question on a coach getting a yellow or red or whatever. I mean, aren't we also, we don't have to give 2 yellows in order to give a red, correct?
Oh, of
I mean,
course. Yeah, I mean, look, guys,
absurd.
yeah, no, yeah, but, it's the same thing that it's always been with the red flag. You can throw somebody out on the first red flag in the old way. I mean, it's the same thing here, guys. You can give 2 yellows if you deem it to be not bad enough to be thrown out, but bad enough to be darn near close to it. You can give them 2 yellows immediately. So there's nothing. Once again, it's umpire discretion. Okay, but remember this, guys, with these yellow flags and red flags, there are no warnings, and this is why I'm telling you that you guys have got to explain this to these kids at these meetings before the tournament starts. There's no more, hey, that's enough. No more talking. It is a yellow, and they have got to know that by our outdoor rules that we have used with the USPA, and I mean, all the discipline is all the same. That's it. So I would emphasize that in your meetings before the tournaments, and you just got to tell the kids that it's, guys, there's no warnings. I mean, if you raise your mouth in the air and you stare me down, it's not an appealing foul. It's a yellow flag. It is a yellow flag. And, like I said, with the idea of being out for the rest of the chukker, the kids got to get it ingrained. I mean, like I said, I hope we don't have to deal with any of this, of course. But I just want to emphasize to all of you we got to be 150% on giving these flags, and it's got to be a full discussion between the three umpires that are at each tournament. Okay?
Hey,
no questions on that.
That's a very valid point, that it's a team effort, and there's not just one umpire. That there's 2 out there, and it's just like Charlie Muldoon said today, it's we. It's not me or I or the third man or the other guy. It's we. We are a team when we're on the field and officiating. And I think that's important for us to keep in mind.
Yep.
Good point, Dan. I had one more quick one because in II, a player could get, well, it would be a yellow now. It was a red flag when they're either doing work duties or between chukkers when they're out of the arena. So how do they, if they get a yellow during work duty, does that carry into the next game, or how are we doing that? And do the tournament managers know they need to let the umpires know?
A yellow during work duty, when they're working for another team, you've had a problem where they've had somebody screaming and yelling at the umpires?
No, we've had a problem with a kid mouthing off and using profanities at a string owner and refusing to do the work.
I don't think that's something that we can do. That's not part of what's going on in the arena. So I don't
I understand, but II conditions say they can do a red flag anytime during the tournament. Am I correct on that one, Emily?
I have to look for it.
I don't think that's accurate.
About that.
You can probably submit a letter to and put them up to the committee, but I don't think you can red flag someone that's not playing in that game. That's not. Umpire owns the game. They don't own outside the game.
Outside the arena. My recollection of our summer discussions, Tom, you're correct that between period fouls were just specifically directed in discussions towards players in that game.
Yeah, I think that's accurate.
Yeah. It doesn't make, yeah, it doesn't, that's interesting. We'll have to look that up, Robin. We'll look it up and get back on that one. Does anybody else have any other questions about this? Anybody?
This is really not an umpire question, Bradley, but procedurally, if you're down to 2-on-3, that team wins the game, and they only have 2 players, so they can't start the next game, so they have to forfeit, so that means you don't play the next game. It's a win for, say it was a quarterfinal, now it's a semifinal, and the team has to forfeit, so you don't play that next semifinal then, right?
Right.
Okay.
Harsh, guys.
I just wanted to get them. Yeah.
It's tough.
I have a question. I have a question related to the NHCC's decision about, and I get it. There's no way we can have a penalty box, but the idea, and I know this is how it happens on the grass. You get 2 minutes. So if you get thrown out the last 30 seconds of Chucker 3, with the penalty box, you would sit out that 30 seconds, and then you would sit out the remaining minute and a half in the 4th Chucker. Because that 2-minute expands, and then, again, this is an HTC, I think, question, though, would you be able to keep them out for the 4th Chucker, or any Chucker, if it straddles? Because I think you still want at least the two-minute penalty. That's the whole purpose of the flags. But because we're throwing them out of the arena, how does that come into play? I would say awesome. I would say you can't come back in, but I think maybe it's an NHCC question, but collectively we have to know that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, go ahead.
Bradley's going to know this better than I, but it's not just it's a tournament condition that the host site, not just II, can determine. So it's not just an II decision. We chose that, or they chose that that tournament condition option, either without the ref chucker or the 2-minute with the penalty box. And I believe it's the luck of the draw. If it's 30 seconds left of the chucker, you're out 30 seconds. If it's 5 minutes, you're out 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's by rule in the book that way, Tom.
Yeah, that's what I was. I mean, I personally think if you're going to get tossed and you don't sit 2 minutes, you should penalize the rest of the other chuckers. I mean, really,
I actually agree with you, and I actually think they could get it. They could figure out the 2-minute penalty box, but they've elected to go with the alternative method this year.
Right.
So
I'm agreeing with you an awful lot.
I think that's something
I know, this is shocking, Danny.
I think actually we need to stick with what we've got, guys. I don't think we had the leeway. I know in the past with the red flags we had a little bit more leeway of that time frame, the time frame of sitting somebody out. But based on what we've got written here, I think we ought to go with what we have. If something changes, I guess Amy and Emily and and I guess we can discuss it with the NHTC, and I can discuss it with the Umpire LLC, and but let's just go with what we got. Like I said, guys, I hope to God we don't even have to get to any of that. So at the end of the day, so those are the two main rule changes for 2017. The next thing, well, I'm going to skip to, before I do tournament conditions, the sixth thing, the online test for the arena.
Of course I have a truck.
2017. Guys, put your phones on mute if you can. Thank you.
Oh, congratulations.
Doug Burnett, thank you. Put your phones on mute. The 2017 online arena test is not done yet. Due to some thievery back in December in Aiken, South Carolina, I had to get all new videos after I did all the damn notes for them from the UVA clinic. So I am working on that, and hopefully we'll have that done in the next couple of weeks. It will be the same as it has been, be online. So I encourage everybody to take it. I have not gone through my list of who's taking it and who's not. So I hope everybody on this call is taking it. And just to give you guys a little bit of an update with the tournament conditions. I don't know if you got a chance to watch the Townsend Cup on Saturday. We used the tournament conditions that most of us tried out in the II clinics, and we had more goals scored in the Townsend Cup game, I believe, in the history of it. Hey guys, put your phones on mute, please.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, there we go. Much better. But anyway, the final score of the Townsend Cup game was 18-16, and that was more goals scored in the Townsend Cup than they've ever had. Moving the two-pointer up to the 25 seemed to work well, made for a few exciting plays, and we are in the process with the Arena Rules Subcommittee of still working on some of the things that, as a group, we all kind of went through with these clinics. We are still in the process of defining an immediate play if the ball is missed and hits the end wall. We are also in talks about changing the penalty from a 2-point play to a 1-point play. That's kind of where we're leaning. I'm not saying we're doing anything yet because none of this has been voted on. And then also the other thing that we're talking about is on the 2s and the 3s, allowing a defender to be outside of the goal, 10 yards to the left or the right of the goal. That seems to be gaining some traction. But, and I don't want to get into a big discussion because we're not dealing with that here in the 2017 II season, rest of the 2017 II season. But if you guys have some more ideas, I know you guys have sent me some stuff before, and I appreciate it. We're getting there, and I think watching the Townsend Cup was, kind of a good run, and I think the English players appreciated it because that's kind of how they play. But we're working on it, and hopefully we'll have these tournament conditions sewed up by the meetings the April meetings for 2017, because, if they go to rules, we'll obviously have to, implement them starting September 1st in the II season. But anyway, I just wanted to give you guys an update on that stuff, and we'll keep you posted as it goes. But let's concentrate on this tournament season, doing a good job, and you guys all know that if you have any questions, you can get me by phone or by email. Does anybody have any questions before we end? Well, great, guys. Well, Yeah, I see some couple little things. I don't know. I think they're going to do the Townsend Cup on demand. I'm sure some of you just watched the II and the SUPA on demand. So you can catch all that on the USPA Polo Network now. It's you go to the uspolo.org and go that way with you get the video. But anyway, guys, I appreciate everybody being on the call. And once again, if you got any questions or comments or whatever, you can feel free to call me or email me. And let's do a great job this year, guys. I'm really looking forward to it.
Hey, thanks a bunch, Bradley. I appreciate it. Good job.
Thanks, Bradley.
Thank you, Bradley.
Thank you, Bradley.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Bradley.
Have a good one. Hey, Bradley.
Oh,
Bradley, you there?
down here.
I'm going to be out there the 28th and 29th weekend of January, so you'll still be out there then, right?
I'll be here.